that they use at the grocery stores, if they don't come with their own, you're going to have nearly 100 new speed cameras, which are not there any longer for safety. They're there for raising money. So we know how that is going to turn out, because we've seen how that's turned out in the suburbs, where people go to jail for manipulating the camera system. It's just bad all around, and it's all avoidable. That's the sad part. It's all avoidable if the mayor had just introduced his budget in a timely manner, worked with those of us who wanted to be fiscal stewards. Don't forget, he called us all descendants of the Confederacy when we first said we wanted to discuss efficiencies, when we wanted to discuss savings. He equated us with slave owners for trying to do that. And now it will be the black and brown communities, quote unquote, that he claims to care about, that are going to be paying the brunt of these taxes, fines, and fees at a time when they can least afford it.
Wow, that's insane. I saw that you posted a picture on Twitter of your meeting with Tom Homan, the new border czar, and J.B. Pritzker just came out and said he's willing to have a sit down, I guess, with him to discuss, what the federal government's going to do. What was that meeting like with Tom Homan? Because his first words was, "Your governor sucks and your mayor sucks."
Well, I think that everyone's trying to make hay out of his statements at that political fundraiser. Tom Homan and I had our own separate private meeting before this earlier in the day. But look, you can't tell me that Democrats have never said anything outrageous and crazy at their own private fundraisers,
right?
Especially when it comes to Donald Trump and Republicans. That's just the nature of the beast, so I get it. And your listeners, I think, get it too. But I will tell you that I find it remarkable that when I posted that picture, almost every Democrat in the county was soiling themselves because I met with the border czar to have this conversation. And then now, look at Eric Adams has said he's willing to work with them. California has said they're willing to work with them. And now J.B. Pritzker is joining the party to bring some sanity to the border enforcement. I think it's great. Look, we talked about very clearly where President Trump's returning policy is focused. Getting rid of those who choose to commit criminal activities once they are here. Violent criminal offenders who happen to be either undocumented or have some sort of temporary protective status because of the asylum granted by a Biden-Harris administration need to go. That's a very easy thing to justify, or should be able to justify, to communities. It's why Latinos broke overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, because they don't want them in their communities either. And I think it's a realization by Pritzker and maybe eventually Johnson, who knows, that people want to be safe in their neighborhoods. And we're not talking about the families who the Democrats have promised a pathway for generation for 20, 30 years already and failed. We're talking about those, particularly the new arrivals, who are toting guns, getting benefits, and making a mockery of our immigration system. Those are the ones who should be the first to go. And the fact that, Donald Trump has committed to giving a pathway to dreamers.
Right.
Those young people who were brought here by their parents and have only known the United States as their home. I think that is a great way to work together, to be collaborative. And if we don't, look, Holman's going to go after those criminals no matter what,
right.
Those violent offenders.
Right, but
no matter what.
Alderman, it's your job to go.
If you go to a house and they take the wrong people, is Pritzker going to stand up and say, "I'm sorry"? Right. No, of course not.
But it's your job to meet with people you may not agree with. I mean, that's the job of an elected official, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. But when you look at how much federal, do you know the number as it relates to COVID spending, how much money Chicago has received? When you look at how much money they received, were there any new created spending expenditures? And when you look at, because I think all of it is related, when you look at the amount of money that the city of Chicago has had to pay for this migrant, or as most people call it, migrant crisis, I mean, there's your budget deficit right there, right?
Well, last year alone, the city of Chicago claimed to have $600 million in surpluses, basically, which were reimbursements from the COVID fund for expenses related to quote-unquote COVID. And all of those reimbursements, unlike other governmental units throughout the state and country, rather than being saved for a rainy day, were spent on the migrants.
Yep.
And additionally, just to throw out there too, Brandon Johnson is once again paying $175 million in front-loaded pension payments for non-teaching CTU personnel at the Board of Education in 2025 like he did in 2024, and there's no guarantee we're going to get our money back. So not only is this a manufactured budgetary crisis by Brendan Johnson, both in terms of migrants as well as what we're paying for CPS pensions, but you're also telling taxpayers that because of these unknown circumstances, you have to get more and more money from them when it simply boils down to bad choices and bad fiscal management.
Wow. Last question before we have to let you go. If it's 25-25 locked, what's going to happen tomorrow?
I think the mayor's going to start hyperventilating, but I definitely believe that he has to break the tie, and we have seen where him and his socialist buddies have forced him into a corner, having to break the tie. He broke the tie to protect Carlos Ramirez Rosa. He broke the tie to move the ceasefire resolution, and he's going to have to wear the jacket and break the tie to approve his double property tax increase, because don't forget, it's not just the city of Chicago and its $68 million, but it's also CPS that's also going to have a to the max property tax next year as well.
Wow.
Time to move, but they've been telling me that for a long, long time. All right, Alderman Raymond Lopez, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful holiday season. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
Stay warm.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
For help with thinking about retirement and how you game plan for it, we're pleased to be joined by Tim Stearns. He's the president and founder of TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me. Amy, thank you.
So what are the things that people normally have blind spots on that they're just not thinking about, that are either potential sources of income or potential cost centers?
We have this fallacy throughout society that you're going to be on a lower tax bracket because you're going to be spending less in retirement. But when you start looking at, to your point, property taxes and that type of things don't get reduced that much. So when we are uncovering what a budget looks like, it's really an eye-opener for both spouses usually to say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that's what that costs. How am I going to get through retirement? And we'll show them where that income gap is and figure out how we're going to fill that for 25 to 30 years.
Do you recommend some states for people to move to get tax benefits?
Funny you ask. Yes, Florida is always a good one. The Carolinas, we're seeing a lot. And then, of course, Tennessee.
Thinking about a 20 or 25-year time horizon, one of the challenges that families go through is when mom and or dad need to be in an assisted living facility. I've gone through this recently, actually, with my dad. And, game planning for those costs, because those can drain somebody's savings in a big hurry, as you know.
Well, 7 out of 10 Americans over the age of 60 will need some form of long-term care. Jeez. And 9 out of 10 of us haven't addressed that.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that is baked into the Protect and Grow blueprint. So we do address that because that is, as you know, Dan, a huge drain on your assets.
All right, so how can people reach you?
We're locally in Arlington Heights, 847-749-2295.
And you also have a website, TJ Stearns, STEARNS.com.
That's correct.
Tim Stearns is the president and founder of TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, Amy, thanks for having me.
All right, this holiday season, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements. A proud supporter of this radio station for 10 years. That turkey, pumpkin pie, ice cream aren't going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open up the individual capsules, dust them over a salad, or mix them into juice drinks or warm water, and it makes you feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Order your fruits and veggie supplements today by calling 800-246-8751. Use coupon code CHICAGO to save big on your order. 800-246-8751 or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code CHICAGO. Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, John Anthony, I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Farash. He has a 47's coming to town video that everybody needs to hear and see.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town. I made a beautiful list and we're checking it twice. All the bad hombres will be deported by ICE. 47's coming to town. Tom Homan's gonna find you and make you go away. If you came here illegally, then you're not allowed to stay. So you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town.
Yay.
Yeah, I've heard this.
That's great. I love it. All right, coming up on
He is.
Chicago's Morning Answer, 'tis the season for giving. We'll discuss. And later, is an Iranian mothership launching drones over New Jersey? We'll start there with Chuck DeCaro when he joins us at 7:37. But now, let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A Chicago man charged with assaulting U.S. Representative Nancy Mace. Visitation is held for Oak Park Police detective killed in the line of duty. Governor J.B. Pritzker is open to meeting with the Trump border czar, and Lake Forest College's president is out of a job. Garrett Crochet moved to the Red Sox. In WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
Hunter Biden is not alone. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Days after President Biden controversially pardoned his son, he's sparing many more convicts.
It's the biggest act of clemency in one day for a president, as President Biden pardons 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes and commutes the sentences of roughly 1,500 others. The president saying, quote, America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. An American prisoner in Syria has been freed.
Travis Timmerman says he crossed into Syria illegally on foot and was subsequently detained by the forces of former President Bashar al-Assad. He's free again after being locked up for 7 months. Timmerman explained how 2 men armed with AK-47s broke his prison door down with a hammer. The overthrow of Assad has seen thousands of people released from Syria's notorious prisons.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. It is still a mystery in New Jersey who's been flying drones for weeks.
It's kind of scary when you're driving down the road at night and you see these lights coming towards you in the sky. You don't know what it is.
And while she and many others in New Jersey demand answers, their lawmakers say they aren't being given any. State Assemblyman Brian Bergen says the briefing they got from state police and others yesterday was
complete waste of my time. That was an amateur hour presentation where they told us nothing.
The Pentagon has also dismissed as false a congressman's claim from New Jersey that Iran is flying these drones from a ship off the coast. Speaking of an American adversary, China's leader Xi Jinping has been invited to President-elect Trump's inauguration next month, confirmed this morning on Fox by incoming Trump press secretary Caroline Leavitt.
We saw this in his first term. He got a lot of criticism for it, but it led to peace around this world. He is willing to talk to anyone.
She did not say if she has accepted the invitation. Time magazine has just announced President-elect Trump as the person of the year. And next hour, Trump will ring in the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. America's listening to Fox News.
5 degrees above with a wind chill of 12 below. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A Chicago man is accused of attacking U.S. Representative Nancy Mace. James McIntyre is pleading not guilty. He was arrested following the incident on Tuesday night. Former state rep Eddie Acevedo could take the stand in Michael Madigan's racketeering trial. The judge ruling yesterday Acevedo must testify if called by prosecutors. AM 560's Jim Talamonte was in federal court yesterday.
Judge John Robert Blakey ruled despite questions about Acevedo's competency. Prosecutors say AT&T made payments to Acevedo through lobbyist Tom Cullen, who testified Wednesday. Former Madigan aide Will Cousineau talked with Madigan's co-defendant Michael McLean in a call recorded on May 25, 2018.
Zaleski was asked to get you language on his small cell item today.
Yeah.
Was that to talk to AT&T, to start a discussion with AT&T?
AT&T had been pushing for carrier of last resort, or COLR, legislation.
I've got a little COLR relief for little CenturyLink in there that I would like to hook to anything that moves.
Prosecutors say they expect to rest their case Tuesday. I'm Jim Talamonte.
Governor J.B. Pritzker is open to meeting with President-elect Donald Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan.
I'm open to a dialogue with him. I will say that he does not have the authority to do the things that he's talked about. Being a border czar is not an official position.
Also, the governor will use taxpayer funds to launch an effort to cut the price of housing that has risen dramatically during his administration. Pritzker has signed an executive order that enlists multiple state agencies to see if his administration can accelerate plans to expand the supply and access to housing. Pritzker also announcing the return of a program providing direct monetary assistance to pay off student loan debt for those buying a home in the state of Illinois. The president of Lake Forest College is out of a job after less than 3 years. Trustees have ousted Jill Barron. She assumed the presidency in July of 2022. LFC board member Rob Krebs has been named the interim president. White Sox shipping their ace to Boston. Get a carload of prospects in return. Garrett Crochet goes to the Red Sox and brings back top 5 prospects in catcher Kyle Teal and outfielder Braden Montgomery. College hoops, Notre Dame a win over Dartmouth. The news service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your route, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals at quickdelivery.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder exposes the real mainstream media.
The media does have an influence on how people see things. A study done found out 3% of reporters covering politics describe themselves as Republicans. 97% call themselves something other than Republicans. Are you kidding me?
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Police officer and canine handler Jacob Russell Chaffins was fatally shot while attempting to serve warrants for domestic violence offenses. And thanks to friends like you and your generosity, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave the Chaffins family the gift of a mortgage-free home. There's so much more to do and to say thank you to our nation's heroes and their families for their immense sacrifices, all for us. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-575-6745.
don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The holidays are here again, and it's really getting cold outside. It's time to snuggle up by the fireplace with a delicious mug full of Bob's Belgian hot chocolate. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Each sip is so rich, so luxurious, and oh so chocolatey. Bob makes his hot chocolate with 100% imported Belgian chocolate, and it's so easy to make. You just stir it into hot milk and voila! You just made yourself the best hot chocolate ever. You can buy Bob's Belgian hot chocolate mix and sticks online at bobsbelgianhotchocolate.com or visit us at Chris Kindle Markets at Daily Plaza and Aurora. Come on out and join in on all of the holiday fun with visitors from all over the world. We can click our glasses and wish each other good cheer with a delicious mug full of Bob's Belgian hot chocolate. Oh my gosh, it's so good. bobsbelgianhotchocolate.com.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Heavy and slow on the inbound Kennedy. Over an hour now, about 65 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on I-57 and the Bishop Ford, both jammed solid into the Ryan merge. And on the Tri-State, you've got an accident on both shoulders. Southbounders on 294, your big delays at the Grand Avenue curve. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It'll be brisk and very cold today. Intervals of clouds and sun. Dress warm. A high today only 18. Partly cloudy, frigid tonight and a low at 9. Sun followed by clouds. Not as cold for tomorrow. High tomorrow at 30. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Clear and 5 above. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good Thursday morning. Amy Jacobson here. John Anthony in for the one and only Dan Proft, who will be back tomorrow. But thank you so much for helping out these past few days.
Hey, no problem. I love coming in.
I know, especially on a cold day.
Very cold.
18 below and winter. It's a good time to get gas, you thought, right?
Come on, yeah. That was not the smartest idea, you know, especially with no warm coat on or anything.
They had no gloves.
No gloves.
It's okay. It's such a guy thing
Hey,
to do.
that's a
I
Christmas
can't even.
gift.
Oh, you need gloves.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people around the world need more than gloves. They need food. And this is our annual campaign for Food for the Poor. It's underway, as you've noticed. If you listen to the station, you can hear the ads. But they do provide life-saving food to children in Latin America and the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, whatever one you say. And during the season of economic decline, we really need your help to get us over the finish line, not for us, but for the people who need food and clean water. With more on this, let's welcome back to the program Paul Jacobs for Food for the Poor. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Amy, good morning. And whether you pronounce it Caribbean or Caribbean, your $200 is still going to feed 4 children.
Okay, well, do you say Caribbean or Caribbean?
I'm from Jamaica. My family from Jamaica, so we say the islands.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so tell us about, I mean, we're asking people for any amount, but $50 can feed 1 child for an entire year and provide access to clean water. $200, what can you do with that?
Imagine right now, this hour on the Dan and the Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, and welcome, John Anthony. Thank you for being with us. Your gift of $200 is being matched by a ministry partner to Food for the Poor. That means twice as much food for every dollar that you give. So typically $200 in Food for the Poor's hands can get 2 children food for an entire year. But because of a match on this show today, this morning, you can give 4 children access to food for an entire year, 2 meals a day. Children that you've met, Amy, you've seen the precious lives that are saved because of the generosity of Answer listeners. And your gift is also going to be a portion of that gift is going to be set aside so they get access to water in their community.
Yeah, I mean, we went to one small town outside of Port-au-Prince, and I mean, there was a river, John, or a canal, and people were grabbing buckets of water from it. People were swimming in it, and cows were in it as well. So how do you go in and set up a water filtration system so that they can have clean, healthy water to drink?
It's just so great that Food for the Poor for now close to 43 years. We're going on in our 43rd year. We have ministry partners that are experts in making sure that wells can be dug, water systems can be put in place and monitored and functioning for the generations and years to come. So we make sure that your gift is going to be partnered with another ministry partner who is going to execute those water programs. We're going to put in a water plant, a water purification unit. It's not a cookie cutter system, right? So imagine you're working in a community where you said, Amy, there was the canal in that community where we visited in Haiti. But that has an accessible water source that can be filtered to pump out safe water for families. In other areas, there have to be water catchment systems in place so that in these Caribbean nations where they get a lot of precipitation, a lot of rain, it can catch the water and then purify it and send it into the communities. But the bottom line is that your gift right now during this Christmas season, in this time where we think of others, we kind of look outward to others in this particular season of the year. Well, we can turn transform your gift into food and water for families who desperately need it right now.
And right now, if you want to make a donation, you could call 844-862-4673. Again, that's 844-862-4673, or just visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. I donate every year. It takes minutes. You call, there's no chit chat. You just call, you give them your credit card number, tell them the amount you want on it, and then, of course, they're very pleasant and say thank you, and then you're on your way with your day knowing that you did something well for people. And Food for the Poor, I mean, you have, from 2019 to 2023, we served 943 million meals. Wow. And I've been to those distribution centers where, I mean, they get up early, Paul, and they get up with their 2 buckets. They want the beans and they want the rice. And I remember handing out the rice and handing out beans, and yeah, I mean, they wait for hours to get that food, and then they bring that back to their loved ones. So we really need your help.
That's exactly right. And I want to just congratulate all that have made gifts right now. We've had gifts from Lockport and Darien and New Lenox, Park Ridge, Chicagoland, Schnellerville, Indiana, in fact. All of you contributing to making sure that more than 1,600 children already have access to food for an entire year. We're almost halfway to our point in our campaign this year. And we need another one of you right now. We need you to say yes to children and families who need it so desperately. When you think about it, we center this time of the year around food, right? I've literally got to go get a sandwich ring for a holiday party that's happening here at work. Got to go to the grocery store. It's nothing for me just to drive down the street, run to the grocery store, get one of those little sandwich rings and bring it back, and everybody enjoys and has a fun time. But in places like you've described, Amy, in Haiti, in Guatemala, in Honduras, in El Salvador, the mothers wake up long before all of us in well, maybe not you guys because you're on the air early in the morning, but they wake up long before the sun comes up, and they do not stop until the sun goes down, and they do this 7 days a week. We're talking more than just food and water here. We're talking dignity. We're talking empowerment for mothers and children to provide for their children. We're asking you right now, and so many of you, we had a gift just the other day from New Lenox, Clinton from New Lenox, $200 gift. providing 4 children with life-saving food. We had a business manufacturer gift from Chicago, $2,500. That's 50 children. That's an entire feeding center of children in one particular community. So whether your gift is $200 or $2,500 to be a business benefactor, we need your help right now. We're halfway to the point of our goal. Christmas is going to get everybody really busy in about a few minutes, but we need everybody on board to do what you can so that we can help the rest of these children get fed.
And Paul, when you look at everything that Haiti's had to go through in the last couple of years, would it be fair to say that the need is even greater, more so now than it has been in previous years?
Well, Amy can attest to
I'm
what she's
surprised you're
seen.
still open.
Well, I'm going to give you a little update. Just as of 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, we've just got a report from our executive director in our Haiti offices, and they have basically had to limit their response to a 7 square mile area. Now, Amy has seen the vast areas. Yes, and you've been there. You've seen the vast areas where Food for the Poor helps, and you're talking about a limit of 7 square miles. But it's not the 7 square miles that's the emphasis. It's the fact that Food for the Poor has not stopped to help the families who are desperately in need, even in the midst of the chaos in Haiti. So we need your help like never before.
Yeah, and I know we're giving businesses who are giving over, is it $2,500, Amy?
Yes,
we're giving
sir.
them 40 1-minute commercials.
Yeah,
and,
it's the best deal in Chicagoland advertising, $2,500, tax deductible. You'll be helping hundreds of kids. And as a way of saying thank you, we give you 40 1-minute commercials that will air right here Monday through Friday. And honestly, some of our longtime advertisers started out as business benefactors, because if you're thinking about advertising for the first time, you're not sure, this is a great way to do it. It's $2,500. Money goes to Food for the Poor. And then you could, dip your toe in the advertising industry and see how it will help your business to be on AM 560. For that, call Anjanette Natowski. Her number is 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. John, do you have a list of some of our business benefactors?
That's what I was going to say. I think it's time for us to say thank you to those who've given thus far. I mean, quick delivery service. We have DSP Insurance Services, Craig Tischler, KNS Metals, MS Consulting Services, Chris Jacobs of Century 21 Circle, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, freedomchamber.net, our good friend Tom Sadeka, and the National Shrine of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini. I mean, thank you so much for everything that you're doing to make sure that these kids and families are fed.
Hey,
and
guys,
every year this does sell out. So the sooner you sign up, the sooner you call Anjanette, the better.
And can I brag on your business benefactors for a second? Just one particular one that stands out to me is Cindy Jacobs from Century 21. Every year, they come back. Every year they come back and they advertise. And another thing I remember, once we did a campaign, and just months and months later, I think it was in the summer, I was listening to The Answer one afternoon. It was like early evening afternoon. And I heard a business benefactor commercial being played. I love the fact that it's not just this season, but it's spread out throughout the year, that listeners are getting to hear the message of philanthropy and generosity and compassion from your business benefactor listeners.
And one question, because, I talked to a lot of people in the community, and they said, well, I normally give to Food for the Poor, but we have about 47,000 illegals here from Honduras, El Salvador, Venezuela. And I said, well, if you give to Food for the Poor, maybe you could stop them from needing to come here, because, they're looking for a better life. Some people had a problem finding food. So that's why they came to America illegally. But how can Food for the Poor stop that, or try to?
That's exactly what we address every single day with our ministry partners, our countries that we work in, 15 countries across Latin America and the Caribbean, 6 priority countries in those areas. These families want nothing more than to thrive in the communities where they're from. My wife is from Guatemala City, and both her parents are educated architects. They are college educated, the entire family. But she understands, and she works here with us at Food for the Poor, understands the need of families to thrive in their communities so that they do not make the literally the dangerous and life-threatening journey to come across lands to risk all for maybe nothing. And so we're helping families where they're located, and your gifts and your donations, you're making sure that families are getting their children fed, giving them access to water. They're not leaving the safety, the familiarity, and the comfort of what they know and what they thrive in their communities in Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, wherever they're from.
844-862-4673. I'll say it again. 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor to make any donation. And again, a gift of $50 can feed one child for an entire year and provide access to clean water for the entire community. And $200 can feed 4 children for 1 year. Paul, in the remaining moments we have you, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Merry Christmas, everybody. This is the time where we really celebrate, and it's a time for family. It's a time where we kind of reflect on the year that was, and we look forward within great anticipation to 47 coming to town, okay? I heard that. That was exciting. I love that.
Do you like that?
But more than that, we really take an assessment of how we can be better, how we can capitalize. And this is one way that we can be better to help someone give a hand up. Not a hand out, but a hand up in life.
Amen. Well, thank you. Amen. Paul Jacobs, thank you so much for all you do. And that's why we love to partner with Food for the Poor. You're a great organization. And God bless you this holiday season.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Wow.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
And this is Brian Duncan, co-founder of Signature Bank. We wish you the very best this holiday season from Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
This is Sean Thompson here to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign. We've partnered with Food for the Poor once again to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're talking about a part of the world that continues to suffer from the effects of economic destruction and decline, political corruption, instability, gangs, high prices for food. Families are forced to skip meals for days at a time because they simply can't afford to buy food. The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners. Food for the Poor needs your help. Right now, thanks to a generous match, for a one-time gift of $100, you can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year. And it helps their community to gain access to water, or consider a gift of giving $200, which would provide life-saving food for 4 children for the entire year. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673 or go to 560theanswer.com. Just simply click on the Give Life banner at the top of the website.
All right. It's the time to give, as you mentioned, or we talked about food for the poor. But if you're giving a gift, why not give the gift of health? Why not give Balance of Nature supplements? They've been a proud supporter of this radio station, but also, guess what? Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. One banana a day, one apple a day, not going to cut it. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. I just open up those individual capsules, pour them in warm water, and voila. It makes me feel great. And thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provide your body, heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. And seriously, great stocking stuffer, fruits and veggies. Here's what you do. Call this number, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save big on your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, John Anthony.
What's up?
I don't really get into memes, but this one is hysterical. All right, did you see Jill Biden and her daughter sitting next to President Trump at Notre Dame over the weekend?
I did.
By the way, Kamala Harris was invited to that. She said no. And so was Joe Biden. And he said no, which was good because it wasn't great to see Trump on the world stage again and people like falling all over him. And then he manhandled Macron with that handshake that he kept doing repeatedly. Where it was like a wrestling move where he was on top of him like, I'm in charge.
They did the bro handshake too, the black man handshake. Hey, what's up, brother?
It was awesome. All right, so picture this. I'm going to try to describe a meme on the radio. This is not going to end well. There's a picture of Jill sitting next to Trump at Notre Dame, and this is the caption. He was a bad boy felon who turned his life around. She was a doctor whose husband was suffering dementia. This Christmas, only on Hallmark, The Lady and the Trump. Oh, did you like it?
Did you see that? Yeah, that was. Did you see the AI generated one when she's sitting there and she gets up and kisses him and starts showing her legs to him? And then there was another one with Biden and Kamala, and they were at some event. And Biden comes out and waves, and next thing you know, he just attacks her and her husband, who would have been the first man. I mean, this AI generated stuff is hilarious.
Well, she did come out yesterday because, it's Christmas season at the White House. It's her last Christmas at the White House, and she had a message of joy.
So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy.
Joy.
I think we all need this, we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time. So anyway, okay, now I'll start. You're all reading into that.
We read into it, Jill. I actually think she voted for Trump.
I do too.
And I think Biden did too.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Because then on Sunday night, they had the Kennedy Awards at the Kennedy Theater in Washington, D.C. Joe and Jill were standing there. Kamala was standing there, excuse me. They walked in and they didn't even make eye contact.
Yeah.
It was ice.
Well, she kicked them out. She threatened the 25th against them. I'm telling you. There's a lot. I hope there's some whistleblowers and some people that come out and talk about, that what happened throughout that entire episode.
Yep, hopefully we'll find out. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, drones over New Jersey. We'll start there with Chuck DeCaro, but now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
5 degrees. Skies are clear. Wind chills at 13 below at 7:31. The annual Catholic Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe will be held in Des Plaines starting this morning. Thousands are pouring into the shrine in the 1100 block of North River Road. Police are on hand directing traffic around that packed situation. Former state representative Eddie Acevedo could take the stand in Michael Madigan's racketeering trial. The judge ruling yesterday Acevedo must testify if called by prosecutors. Chicago City Council could approve a new budget with more than $230 million in tax increases before the end of the week. Governor J.B. Pritzker said the state will give the city increased funding for things like K through 12 education, as he said he will for all school districts. But city resident James McCoy has had enough of the spending.
And now you want to squeeze the city of more money, higher property taxes, your parking fees, as if parking's not outrageous in this city. Streaming service taxes, bag taxes, just name it, and there's higher taxes for it.
Alderman William Hall isn't sure if the mayor's plan will pass.
I think that some of the frustration is based off of the perspectives of how individuals see Chicago. There are those who see a conservative Chicago. There are those who see a liberal Chicago, those who see a progressive Chicago. And so just getting on the same page to see the importance of fiscal responsibility, sustainable jobs, nobody's disagreeing on that. It's just the approach is different.
A Woodstock man is in the McHenry County Jail accused of stabbing another man in the chest. Arthur Johnson faces charges of aggravated battery. The incident happened on Monday. DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick announcing yesterday that evictions in the county will be suspended from December 21st through Monday, January 6th of 2025. Mendrick saying the decision was made so families could have the reassurance of a roof over their heads for the holidays. And a Southside bar is closing its doors for good after 35 years in business. McNally's along Southwestern Avenue in the Kennedy Park neighborhood announcing and on a Facebook posting the bar would cease operations. For decades, fans of the Southside Irish Parade would cram McNally's for a front row seat to the festivities and parade. White Sox shipping their ace to Boston and get a carload of prospects in return. Garrett Crochet goes to the Red Sox, brings back two of Boston's top 5 prospects in catcher Kyle Teal and outfielder Braden Montgomery.
Kyle Teal and Braden Montgomery and Chase Midroth and Wickelman, not only are they talented, but they're high character. When you're building a foundation like we're set out to do, that's the direction of this organization.
And yes, it's true, 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick is finalizing a deal this morning to become the next head football coach at the University of North Carolina. The news service of Trim Light Chicago. You've got to see it to believe it. Amazing, customizable, and permanent holiday and year-round accent lighting for the exterior of your home or business. It's not too late to book your holiday installation, but do it today at Trim Light Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
On Monday, January 20th, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a party. Join us for our inauguration celebration on January 20th at Saddle Up Q in Aurora. Enjoy a brunch buffet with AM 560 listeners as we watch the inauguration of President Trump. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/Trump47. That's 560theanswer.com/Trump47.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Better is around the corner in 2025. Feeling better, of course, getting rid of joint pain for once and for all. And QC Kinetics is where it's at. Their patients are able to walk up and down the stairs, sit and get back up. They can finally sleep. Wouldn't it be great to feel normal again? And that could be you. So call QC Kinetics now, today. Say goodbye to shoulder, knee, hip, and back pain. Saturday appointments available, no downtime. Just imagine a new year without achy joints. QC Kinetics uses the healing properties of your own body to attack the root cause of your pain. If you've been told surgery is your best or only option, you deserve a second opinion. Call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free, and you can use HSA and FSA dollars. Live your best life in 2025. Get started now. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
Steel holiday savings are here. Find the perfect gift at your local Steel dealer or shop the Steel Holiday Gift Guide at steelusa.com.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. Metro delays all over the map on the BNSF. Also delays on the Milwaukee District North Line trains and the West Line trains, all likely due to the cold and switching problems on the railroads this morning. In Wheaton this morning, delays because of an accident, Roosevelt and Schaffer. Also delays in Bartlett at Army Trail in Smith with an accident. River North, an accident, Ontario and Fairbanks Court. On the expressways, delays on I-80 right now due to an accident. It's being shoved off to the right. Westbound I-80 impacted near Oak Park Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A frigid day ahead. Periods of sun and clouds. High 18. Partly cloudy, very cold overnight. A low of 9 above. Clear skies right now, 5 above with a wind chill of minus 12. Your next news update is at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
All right. Good Thursday morning. Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. Dan is off. He'll be back tomorrow, but John Anthony has graciously decided to come in yesterday and today.
And I appreciate it.
And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
So there's this little brouhaha going on over New Jersey. I love saying New Jersey. Apparently, there's been 7,000 drones going up and down since November. And they're up in the air for 6 hours. This is according to CNN. They're up in the air for 6 hours. And when they're approached, they automatically turn off. So Congressman Jeffrey Van Drew believes that there's an Iranian mothership. Well, I mean, okay, he can have his thoughts, you know, First Amendment right to free speech. Representative Van Drew.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down.
There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
And that was a response from Sabrina Singh from the Pentagon about his allegations that there is a Iranian mothership. But can you imagine? Because every night on TV I keep seeing, another neighbor saying, well, I woke up and I looked outside, or I got up early in the morning, or I went to bed late at night, and there's drones hovering over their homes.
Yeah, I've heard many of that.
And I don't trust this Biden administration. I mean, who does, really? But when it comes to national security and issues like that, well, with more on this, let's welcome back to the program Chuck DeCaro, journalist and writes for The Blaze. You can find his writings at theblaze.com. Good morning, Chuck. Good to have you back.
Morning, Amy. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so what do you make of this drone situation, and is there an Iranian mothership off the coast of New Jersey?
Let's start with the idea of drones. The only two drones in this thing are Pete Buttigieg and Governor Murphy from New Jersey, and I'll tell you why. One, Buttigieg, that genius who left East Palestine, Ohio in ruins before, maybe I'll go visit, is in charge of everything that moves on, under, or over the United States, and he has done zero. Nothing. It's his responsibility, first. Second, the other drone, Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, running around wringing his hands and whining, we need help from the federal government. Excuse me? Look at the state of Texas and Phil Abbott down there. You got problems? I don't need the federal government. I got the National Guard, and I'll string barbed wire. Okay, if Governor Murphy would grow a little bit of testicular fortitude, he would simply go to the 1/150th Assault Helicopter Regiment, which is in the New Jersey Army National Guard, and say, boys, we're going to get standing patrols in these areas. Find out who they are, fly next to them, follow them. When they land, bring the whole world down on them.
Amen.
He's doing nothing. He's crying in public. If you wait for the federal government to figure this out under the Biden administration, just count your days, because nothing's going to happen.
Well, I mean, and what are they surveilling? Because it sounds like they're over homes. Is there some military base nearby that they might be spying on us, like the Chinese spy balloon did?
Yeah, I don't have any data to say this or that. All we know, we've got vehicles that are apparently propeller powered and not quadcopters. They look more like the kind of drones that I flew in the 1990s, and I have no idea where they're coming from, as everyone else has no idea at this point. But I think we can rule out hobbyists, because they would have to be billionaires to fly that many missions over that long a period of time. And if it's the U.S. government, it makes no sense, because there are more advanced ways to surveil the ground other than with prop-powered drones.
Yeah, I know who it is. There was back in, I believe in July, a Florida man shot down a Walmart drone. Why can't
Walmart?
That's
they were
probably
doing deliveries.
But isn't this our government? We have no answer about the source of drones, but it's not Iran. It's not the people that want to kill us. It can't be anybody like that. I'm being facetious, but when you think about, because it is over a lot. I'm just looking at a Fox News reporting right now that's saying that it's there's like 4 or 5 different military installations over the New Jersey where a lot of these drones were flying. How much of a threat could this possibly be? Because you think about what China did with that balloon, surveying basically all across America. How much of a threat could this be? And do you think they're prepping for the Trump return?
I don't know, but I can tell you, when you're talking about how much of a threat, I was flying subscale wooden, that is plywood drones with about an 8-foot wingspan in the 1990s. And these things weigh about 150, 200 pounds, maybe more, and they carry 5-10 gallons of gas. And that's, for one, as described by some of the viewers in New Jersey. Well, if this thing goes out of control, 150 pounds, falling at let's say 150, 200 miles an hour, and crashes into something, that's a public safety hazard. And there should be some response. The immediate response should be from the governor of New Jersey of the affected areas, using his National Guard under Title 32 authorities as the commander-in-chief of the National Guard in his state, and authorize patrols to follow them until they land.
Yeah. Now we're speaking with Chuck DeCaro, you are a former outside consultant for the Pentagon's Office of Net Assessments for 25 years. When the Pentagon comes out yesterday and says, this isn't Iran, Why don't they tell the American people who it is then?
I have no idea what they're thinking at the Pentagon. Remember, at this level, it's a political story, not a military story. That's why I looked at the FAA and to look at the governor of New Jersey. Okay, do something. And the other thing, the other combatant commander that needs to be looked at is Northern Command, which has within it the air defense of North America, Canada, and the United States, NORAD. They have not yet been introduced into this problem, as far as I can see. The other thing is, back to the FAA, I don't know whether or not these things are showing up on air traffic control radars because their radar cross-section is small. But they're operating at night, very dangerous, and they obviously don't have transponders, so I'm not sure that the FAA even can see these things with the radar. So, you're back to the FAA. What are you going to do about it, boys? And they're not doing anything.
And, Congressman Jeff Van Drew is not one of those kooky congressmen. You remember, he's
Conspiracy
the guy.
theorist?
Yeah, he's not. He's the guy who was a Democrat, flipped back a couple of years ago as a Republican. Did he ever admit who his source was? Because I believe he said he trusted his source who said that this is from Iran.
Well, as a journalist, I got to tell you, you got to double source everything. One source isn't good enough to hang a story on. I wouldn't touch this thing until I started digging and finding out if someone else could confirm it. The kinds of technology we're talking about aren't that sophisticated for nation states or even non-state actors with some money. I mean, we've got drug dealers in South America who've created their own brand of submarines or semi-submersible submarines to smuggle drugs into the United States. I mean, so even non-state actors could create these things. They're not that sophisticated.
But what about the report that China basically sold some drones to Iran? Is there any truth to that report?
I don't know. Iran produces their own brand of drones, so they don't have to depend on China to build drones for them. The problem is that if this is a nation state penetrating U.S. airspace, they're asking for big trouble if one of these things comes down.
Yep.
If they're found out, there are problems. Now, to go back in history, when we were flying U-2s across Russia in the 1960s or until May of 1960 when Gary Powers got shot down, we knew we were violating international airspace or Russian airspace. And that's why Eisenhower wanted these things with no markings and no military affiliation at all. It's possible that another nation state is doing that to the United States with a lower technology drone or drones. The problem is you've got to find out who is building them and who is operating before you can have any kind of military response.
I'm sorry, I had that backwards. Iran was to sell China over 15,000 drones. Vice versa.
That sure is possible, but again, that kind of intrusion into U.S. airspace by another nation state borders on an act of war. I don't think anybody is quite that stupid.
Well, they did the balloons, right?
Yeah, we did the balloons.
And we waited until it was over the ocean to shoot it down. Why didn't we shoot it down right when it came into American airspace?
Weakness.
The excuse from President Biden is, well, it was very big and liable to cause damage, which is true, but it could have been shot down, as it approached Alaskan airspace many days before it was in fact shot down.
Are you looking forward to another Trump administration? I mean, we have a few days, about a month now until he's sworn in, and I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Well, obviously the reaction around the world is, there's a new sheriff in town. And I kind of welcome that. I mean, after the disastrous retreat from Afghanistan, after the incredibly stupid moves internationally by the Biden administration, at least in my opinion, I certainly do welcome a new Trump administration.
And having worked or been a consultant for the Pentagon, what do you think of Trump's choice for Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth?
I like Pete Hegseth, and the reason why is he's been to war. He knows what the problems are. He understands the social engineering that's going on in the last 4 years has blunted the ability of U.S. forces to act in an optimal way, and he's written about that. So now you're talking about somebody young and passionate and experienced running the Department of Defense. I'd like to give him a chance.
Yeah. What do you think about, I don't know if you heard the hearing yesterday, the Senate hearing about the mass deportations. In your estimation, can the U.S. military be used in those operations?
Yeah. Let me give you a little piece of history. You ever heard of Mackenzie's Raiders?
Yes.
Okay. They were, and I'm now talking not so much about deportations, but the effect upon the mechanism upon which all these immigrants came into the United States. That is, the cartels in Latin America who are pushing drugs, human trafficking, etc., and making a vast profit on it. Randolph Mackenzie in the 1860s, was authorized as a U.S. Army unit, take off its insignia, penetrate deep into Mexico at night, and neutralize the bandits, the outlaws who were raiding along the border. And next morning, we didn't know what happened. So for U.S. forces to take a page from our own history and repeat that might be a good thing.
Wow.
All right, Chuck DeCaro, CNN's very first special assignment correspondent, served with the 20th.
We did news.
Yeah, back. That's true. And he served with the 20th Special Forces Group Airborne, former outside consultant for the Pentagon. And you can read his writings at theblaze.com. Chuck, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you on.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks, Amy. Be good.
Thank you.
Bye now.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
More Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Last week in United States v. Scrimeti, the Supreme Court heard a case with major implications for the protection of minors who are suffering from gender dysphoria. The lawsuit challenged Tennessee's law banning medical gender transitions for children. The Biden administration argued Tennessee's law violates the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause because it discriminates on the basis of sex, an immutable characteristic. Any law doing so must meet a higher standard to be upheld. But Justice Alito exposed the fallacy of the administration's argument. He asked one of the attorneys if transgenderism is immutable. With that, the architecture of the administration's case crumbled. Its advocates were left to claim that somehow sex is immutable, even as gender is just a matter of personal belief at any given moment. The Supreme Court looks likely to uphold Tennessee's right to protect their children. It was a good day for the High Court.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Balance of Nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take Balance of Nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what Balance of Nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the Balance of Nature.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
When you're looking to make your business bulletproof, what comes to mind? Trustworthiness? Accuracy? Truthiness? Well, that's not even a real word. In today's competitive business landscape, considerations like trust, attention to service, accuracy, and knowledge are critical. So is cost, and finding the right balance is important, especially where your business insurance, employee benefits, and executive compensation needs are concerned. For bulletproofing your business, remember DSP Insurance Services. DSP is family-owned and has provided comprehensive risk management solutions and strategic excellence across industries for over 40 years. Business owners continue to partner with DSP because they offer the robust services of a national broker, yet a personal touch that is harder than ever to find these days. Contact DSP Insurance Services for a business and risk audit today. Visit online at dspmybusiness.com. That's dspmybusiness.com. DSP Insurance, your outsourced risk management department since 1981.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, getting inside the head of a madman. We'll explain, but now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Visitation held for an Oak Park police detective killed in the line of duty. Governor Pritzker open to meeting with the Trump border czar, and a Woodstock man charged with a stabbing. White Sox send Garrett Crochet to Boston. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
President-elect Trump is Time Person of the Year. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He's on the cover of the new issue, and the story about the president-elect calls Trump's political rebirth unparalleled in American history. His incoming press secretary, Caroline Levitt, tells Fox.
I feel there's a real palpable spirit out there. People feel more optimistic because they know we're going to have a real leader again who's going to make this country safe and strong and wealthy.
On that front, later this hour, President-elect Trump will ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and he's also invited China's leader to attend the Trump inauguration next month. No word if Xi Jinping has accepted. An American jailed in Syria for 7 months, Travis Timmerman's been set free, released along with many other prisoners after the Syrian regime was overthrown, leading to days of celebrations. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Damascus.
We saw those celebrations just a few hours ago in a main capital city square in Damascus, but as they were celebrating, overhead you could hear Israeli fighter jets circulating and then a large explosion, and it gives you a sense of how active this front remains, because this is a country that is now ruled by Syrian rebels. And the Israelis are concerned that those rebels could get their hands on some of the Syrian government equipment that was left behind.
President Biden made history this morning with the biggest presidential act of clemency in one day ever.
President Biden commuting the sentence of roughly 1,500 people who were released from prison and placed on house arrest during the pandemic. He's also pardoning at least 39 more people, all of whom have been convicted of non-violent crimes.
Fox's Brooks Singman, this just days after President Biden controversially pardoned his son Hunter. Still no answers in New Jersey to who's been flying drones overhead for weeks. State Assemblyman Paul Kenitra tells Fox the briefing they got yesterday was a waste of time.
If anything could bring Republicans and Democrats together at this time, it was the anger at how little information we got.
We just got another inflation update showing wholesale prices rose 0.4% last month and the annual rate of increase 3%, highest since February 2023. America's listening to Fox News.
Three degrees above zero. Wind chills of minus 14 at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Two men were fatally shot early this morning in a Roseland neighborhood home just before 1 a.m. Chicago police say they were told shots rang out in the 9400 block of South LaSalle. Discovered two men in the living room of that home. Investigators say there is no known motive. The annual Catholic feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe is being held in Des Plaines. Thousands are visiting the shrine along North River Road over the next several hours. Former state representative Eddie Acevedo could take the stand in Michael Madigan's racketeering trial. The judge ruled yesterday Acevedo must testify if called by prosecutors. Governor J.B. Pritzker is saying that he'll meet with President-elect Donald Trump's incoming border czar to discuss his mass deportation plan.
A dialogue with him. I will say that he does not have the authority to do the things that he's talked about. Being a border czar is not an official position.
Pritzker said violent criminal non-citizens should be deported and never allowed into the country. Blackhawks try to get a winning streak going when they visit the Islanders tonight. White Sox ship Garrett Crochet to Boston and get a carload of prospects in return, including catcher Kyle Teal. The news service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your preferred order with promo code Chicago. Hurry, offer ends soon. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
A rally in tech stocks pushed the NASDAQ to its first ever close over 20,000 yesterday, though it's unclear whether the upside will build. Richard Steinberg, chief market strategist at Colony Group, believes returns from any kind of NASDAQ melt-up at the end of the year just take away from the first part of 2025. President-elect Donald Trump will ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange this morning, coinciding with him being declared Time Magazine's Person of the Year. The Wall Street Journal says Netflix is pulling back its generous parental leave benefits it had been giving new moms and dads unlimited time off in their child's first year. Netflix found more staffers than expected took full advantage of the benefit. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka explains his duty.
This is a very different Trump administration. Whoever he brings in, whichever portfolio they're given, whether it's people at a lower rank like myself running counterterrorism in the White House, we will be executing the vision, the America First platform, the MAGA agenda of the man chosen.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, "This product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep," unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, "It cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up." Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners, are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
8:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Inbound Kennedy at an hour and 20 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 1 hour, 3:55 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, a solid 53 minutes from 95th into the Circle interchange. Brake lights, Garfield into the Circle in the locals this morning. Big delays as debris is being cleaned up on the Veterans Memorial Toll Road northbound at Finley. There's also an accident on the Veterans I-355 northbound on the off-ramp to I-55. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It'll be brisk and very cold today. Intervals of clouds and sun. Dress warm. A high today only 18. Partly cloudy, frigid tonight and a low at 9. Sun followed by clouds. Not as cold for tomorrow. High tomorrow at 30. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
4 above with a wind chill of minus 15. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Getting inside the head of a madman. Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. John Anthony in for Dan Proft.
Hey.
Of course, I'm talking about Luigi. I don't even want to say his last name, but I think he's going to fascinate FBI profilers for a long time by what he did and how that he played that cat and mouse game. And he had Monopoly money inside his backpack and wrote, denied to fund on his shell casings that were used in the brutal murder of Brian Thompson. And our depraved culture's reaction to all of this, women are throwing themselves all over him. He's, like all of his social media posts have been liked. He's raised tens of thousands of dollars for his defense fund because he's good looking. How sick is that? Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, don't you know? She is in a little bit of a sticky wicket because, she said this about what happened.
And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
I mean, she's coming very close, John, to justifying what the shooter did.
That wasn't close. She did. In my estimate, in my opinion, she did justify it.
And the media and late night TV hosts are acting heartless as they cover this murder.
These are screen grabs of actual exchanges between our members of our staff and their friends, relatives, whatever. Okay, so I would visit him in prison and bake him cookies, maybe, perhaps more, but I haven't thought that far ahead.
So much of the clips we were watching at the top of this segment are driven by the fact that this is an attractive.
We got to drop the banner to show why.
And it is deeply troubling.
They did appear to catch that guy today at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. It's true. Look, I'm sorry, guys.
For more on this, let's welcome back to the program Chris Ferguson. He's professor of psychology at Stetson University in Florida, also author of the book Catastrophe, The Psychology of Why Good People Make Bad Situations Worse. And he also has a Substack and a column that we'll get to as well in this segment. Good morning, Mr. Ferguson. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's dig into the mind of this Luigi. I mean, we all know that he went to a very elite, not a boarding school, but a private school that was $40,000 a year in Baltimore, Maryland. Went to University of Penn, so Ivy League, was in a fraternity, was well known and well loved by the people there. What do you think why did he snap?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's important to point out, this is still early days, and the information we can get at this point can be unreliable. So we don't know a lot yet about the psychology of this individual. And we can be sure that investigators will probably have psychologists and other people look at him and try to figure out exactly what his motives were for committing this crime. What seems to be coming out is that this individual had chronic health problems. There's a lot of talk about that he had, chronic back pain. And, the implication being is that perhaps he had difficulty seeing a potential road to getting treatment for that. Again, we don't really know the details exactly about what was going on with his medical history. But, the narrative that seems to be emerging is you have an individual who is struggling with health problems, possibly was having difficulty getting coverage for those and decided to lash out at people either who directly he saw as involved or symbolically saw as involved in his own misery and pain.
And is this common, though? Because his mom said she filed a police report that he was missing November 18th, but she hasn't spoken to him since July. And he's also been off the grid for 3 months, and his friends weren't able to find him. Is that common with killers, like that they go off the grid first before they plan their attack?
Not really, for the most part. I mean, you do get individuals who feel like they're, pressured for one reason or other, they're stressed, and they kind of quote unquote snap. They obviously don't go through this sort of long-term period of going off the grid and premeditating what they're doing. This suggested that he, really planned out and premeditated what he was planning to do. We've heard about all the symbolism, the etchings on the bullets, the Monopoly money, and that kind of stuff. So it seems like he took this time, to plan out what he was going to do, But again, we don't really exactly know. We don't have this timeline of exactly what he was doing during that time. But it hints towards some kind of premeditation here.
Yeah. Well, what do you make of this growing fan club for him? I mean, it's sick. They had a lookalike contest 2 days after Brian Thompson was murdered. They have wanted posters that have been put up in New York City showing photos of various healthcare CEOs and Brian Thompson himself with an X over his face.
Yeah.
So what do you make of that? And also merchandise. There's more merchandise that glorifies the killer that's on, SD and eBay T-shirts with deny, defend, and depose.
Yeah, you definitely see, some degree of glorification of killers. And I think this individual, he's a good-looking guy, so that's going to play some role into it. So that's why we're seeing some of the fan club sort of mentality. I know Jimmy Kimmel had a segment last night, kind of hinting towards some of that. What you can see is in some situations you can kind of call it like Robin Hood-like phenomenon, that when the general populace feels like they're getting a raw deal, that society isn't handling their needs, that there are these evil people who are keeping them down, that sometimes they can look towards individuals who seem to strike back at that, and they think of them as being heroes. Now the reality is, of course, a lot of people are going through problems with their medical coverage, that have chronic medical conditions. Most of them don't commit murder, as we know. So I think there's always a certain amount of risk when you see people do this. They say, well, this guy is striking one for the people. That oftentimes the individuals who do go from just grumbling about their problems, which is very, very natural, to actually lashing out and committing horrible crimes, that they're really not that great people. That there's other things that are going on, beneath the surface, that maybe they're not the hero we think they are. And again, we don't know in this case. We don't know a lot of details about this individual yet, but I would be a little bit cautious about engaging in the hero worship at this point.
Yeah, Chris, I want to shift gears a little. Now, I'm on your X account. Is this 2 books, Suicide Kings and Moral Combat? Is that 2 books or 1 book? And is that just one title, Moral Combat, Why the War on Violent Video Games is Wrong and How Madness Shaped History? Is that 2 books?
Those are 2 books. Yeah, the Moral Combat one, is nonfiction about video game research. The Suicide Kings is actually a mystery novel.
Okay.
I do a little bit of everything.
well, I only mention it because I'm somebody who's my son committed suicide 3 years ago, and I told a story yesterday about how I was driving down the street, saw a kid on the side of the road in the ditch, and I basically saved him from committing suicide a couple of days ago.
Because he was going to jump in front of a car, right?
That was my thought, that he was going to jump in front of a car. And I see an article that you had written on your Substack, cell phone bans in schools may harm youth. Now, I remember when it was, I actually got arrested for having a pager in high school way back in that year.
What do you have a pager for?
Well, listen,
John.
People have to get in contact with me, especially the ladies, So I'm just saying, I was in high school.
You had a pager for women, please.
But they said I did it for drugs, but I didn't.
Okay.
But do tell us dig more into this story about cell phone bans in schools, and why you think it may harm the youth of today.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, these are obviously becoming all the rage. We're seeing a lot of states, including my own in Florida, that are instituting these bans in schools, preventing kids from using cell phones. It seems very intuitive to a lot of people, the idea that, we take the cell phones away, kids will be paying attention more in class, and maybe it will help their mental health. And there are a couple issues. It's first off, these policies, which feel very intuitive, there's no evidence yet that they actually work. So there's always a bit of a risk of putting policy before data, before we actually know that they're going to be useful. What we're seeing right now in the research is that, contrary to what a lot of people think, that spending time on social media for teens does not seem to be related to mental health concerns. Other things like abuse in the family, or, having parents that committed suicide, that seems to be, related to those outcomes, but cell phone use or social media use is not. The other thing we're seeing is that, at least, I have data from, the school district here in Orlando. that we're seeing an uptick in suspension. So some of these kids at least are now getting suspended from school because they're violating these cell phone bans. And one thing we don't know that the cell phone bans help, but we do know is that suspensions hurt. We know that kids who get suspended, their academics decline, their behavior declines. It's associated with adult arrest. So there's a very clear downside to these, cell phone bans. And that's not to say that maybe the data won't suggest they do help overall, but I think the way they've been implemented has been really, really problematic. Because if it turns out that they don't help, there's a lot of sunk costs, and it's going to be difficult for policy makers to admit that they made mistakes.
But Chris, when you look at, because I remember, when we used to do legislation, especially as policy related, as it related to kids. I would always hear a kid's mind hasn't really fully developed until they're 24 to 26 years old. With this constant having a screen in front of your face, or watching these violent things, because I don't know if you know who Lieutenant Dave Grossman is. He's written a book on combat, on killing, and he talks about how a lot of these violent video games and things of that nature is part of and just sitting on your phone all day, every day. Is there any cause and effect as it relates to the maturation of the brain and all of these different the television and the violent games and the movies and the constant, because growing up I'm sure all three of us, we didn't have to worry about 24/7 news. We didn't have to worry about having basically a computer in the palm of our hands.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, we, 20 years ago, we really went through, many of the same issues with violent video games that we're going through today with social media. Everybody was panicking. Everybody wanted to, ban kids' access to these games and stuff. And kind of now it's died off a lot. The reality is that there just wasn't good evidence that playing violent video games was associated with like school shootings or bullying or aggression or anything of that sort. I've read, Lieutenant Colonel Grossman's book. And my impression of it is that it really was not. It really didn't accurately, discuss what was going on in the research. I would ask for your $20 back, to be honest with you, from that book. No, it really was not an accurate portrayal of what was actually going on in here. So we know a lot of people don't like violent video games, and so what happens is people mix that up with, this is actually a public health concern. And the same thing is going on with social media. A lot of older adults, and increasingly I'm an older adult, don't like social media, and so we think it must be bad, for teenagers. And you referenced, our days, before. You're absolutely right. I didn't have a computer in the house. I didn't have a smartphone. Gen X, the generation I was in, was the worst generation on record. We actually had more problems with violent crime and mental health and suicide. Kids today are doing overall much better than kids 30 years ago. The one thing we are seeing an uptick, and only in the United States, not other countries, is, we are seeing more teens committing suicide, but we're also seeing more older adults committing suicide. So actually the generation that commits, or the age group that commits suicide the most in the U.S. is middle-aged white men, for the most part, and young Native American men. Those are the two groups that commit suicide the most. A middle-aged man is more like about 3 to 5 times more likely to commit suicide than a teenage girl. Teenage girls commit suicide the least of any demographic group that you can kind of imagine. So what's probably happening is that, yes, this is kind of a problem for some teenagers, but as I mentioned, that's probably because their parents have mental health problems, and that is trickling down to them themselves in a lot of these situations. Not something that has to do with technology. And that's why we're not seeing the same problems in like the UK or France or, the Scandinavian country. Europe isn't having the same problem with teen suicide that we're having. Canada and Australia are not having the same problems with teen suicide that we're having. This is a very American phenomenon, and it's a cross-generational phenomenon, and we need to figure out why. But unfortunately, we tend to get distracted by these techno-panics because older adults already don't like these things, and we just think we can just get rid of these things, and kids will, be fine.
And it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. And even looking at schools, I mean, there's no evidence that there's a problem with kids' attention. Kids don't like school. I mean, that's the thing. And that's been true forever. If you look at standardized testing scores, they just haven't changed in 50 years. There's no evidence that they got worse during the social media.
School was my oasis. That school was my oasis.
I loved school.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why
I school with a passion.
Yeah, no, I didn't, because I grew up in a home where my mother was addicted to crack cocaine, and so that was like the place that I went to escape from everything that was that I was going through at home. So that was, that's why I love school.
So, Chris, do you think in the future we'll have more, data about, reducing social media time and if it improves mental health? Because your article, I read it, cell phone bans may harm youth. I completely disagree. And I know you tried to get data from Orange County School District.
Yeah.
But just as somebody who's been around the public school system for a long time, they started implementing in Chicago where they come into class and you put your, kind of like in a shoehorn, you put your cell phone in one of the sleeves and then you get it back after class.
Yeah.
So we still have to wait to see if that data, if their grades improved from this.
Right. Yeah, we're hoping to do that pretty soon. One of the things that's kind of nice is, some states are putting these into place and other states aren't. And it's not a perfect comparison because, of course, all the states will be different. But this will give us some opportunity to look at, are the states that did these bans showing more improvement than those that don't. The one thing we're seeing right now is that youth outcomes are across the board improving. They've been doing that for the past few years. We saw some declines during the COVID era, not surprisingly, and now kids' academics are improving, having nothing to do with cell phone bans. Kids' mental health is actually improving. Teen suicide went down in 2022, and the CDC reported that teen mental health has been going up as well. So we're seeing some improvements already. Now, what the risk is people might see these improvements and think, or they might think it has to do with something that doesn't have to do with. They might think it has to do with these cell phone bans, but we do need better data. What I can say is that the studies that have been conducted, which don't look specifically at cell phone bans in schools yet, unfortunately, but the studies we do have, just looking at teens more generally, does not suggest that time spent on social media has much impact on either academics or mental health. And most things that people are worried about, like bullying, is down. Everybody talks about bullying, and that's certainly a thing we worry about. But bullying has been going down, even when you factor cyberbullying in. Self-reported bullying by teens has been going down. School violence has been going down. Most of these things are already going down. And what's probably going to happen is it has nothing to do with cell phone bans. But of course, policymakers will try to take credit for it anyway.
Amy, I know we got to go, right?
Yeah, we're up against the clock.
Okay.
All right, Chris Ferguson, thank you so much for joining us. You can follow him on X at CJ Ferguson, GUSON 1111, professor of psychology at Stetson University in Florida, and a well-known author. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Me on today. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Our goal is to provide patients with the strongest, most effective, and safest options in this exciting field of regenerative medicine.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
The idea that you can avoid a joint replacement is very exciting.
And that's from a surgeon who's done thousands of joint replacements, but who now believes there's a better way.
Regenerative medicine, as we understand it today, gives lasting pain relief, improved function, without surgery, without drugs.
Under Dr. Scheinkup's leadership, QC Kinetics medical professionals treat patients every day with the most advanced protocols in natural biologics. Literally tens of thousands of people all over America.
I've been doing research on regenerative medicine for 2 decades. This is the future of medicine.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
Balance of Nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference if you take Balance of Nature you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what Balance of Nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the balance of nature.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's a glorious sight. President Trump, or President-elect, former president, whatever you want to call him, the Donald, just rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And I'm sure you've heard he's been named Person of the Year. I'm so glad they didn't go with Kamala.
Times Person of the Year.
Yes.
He spoke before he rang the bell, too.
Yes, he did. Yeah. All right. We'll have some of that. Mike Scott will as well. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, 5 degrees above. We've turned cloudy this morning here in Chicago. FBI Director Christopher Wray chooses to resign after weighing his odds against President-elect Trump's threat to fire him. Fox's Peter Ducey is in West Palm Beach, Florida.
He celebrates the departure of the FBI Director. It will end the weaponization of what has become known as the United States Department of Injustice. Trump pressured Wray to go, and he continues leaning on Republicans to confirm all his nominees. Trump ally Corey Lewandowski tells Fox Digital, there will be no resource that we won't use to go after those U.S. senators that vote against Donald Trump's cabinet picks or his other nominees.
In other news this morning, a 26-year-old man suspected of carrying out the brazen shooting of a United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, could face additional charges in connection with that murder. Firefighters continue to battle a dangerous wildfire blazing on the Southern California coast.
Fire was just over the hill. Within minutes, it had gone to the ridge line, and then minutes later, the wind was just fanning it down the hill, driving it right into our neighborhood.
The Franklin fire has burned more than 4,000 acres in and around Malibu. A Chicago man accused of attacking U.S. Representative Nancy Mace is pleading not guilty. James McIntyre was arrested following the incident Tuesday night at the Rayburn office building. Former state representative Eddie Acevedo could take the stand in Michael Madigan's racketeering trial. The judge ruling yesterday that Acevedo must testify if called by prosecutors. The order handed down despite concerns over Acevedo's mental health. The judge himself did a review of Acevedo's capacity to testify. Family, friends, and fellow police officers remembering an Oak Park police officer killed in the line of duty last month.
The world is just so cruel and it's so different. It's like nobody cares about anything or anybody.
Visitation was held yesterday in Chicago for Detective Alan Reddens. The Blackhawks try to get a winning streak going when they visit the Islanders tonight. White Sox shipping their ace pitcher, Garrett Crochet, to Boston and get two of the top 5 prospects in baseball back in catcher Kyle Teal, outfielder Braden Montgomery, and others. 8:35. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
On Monday, January 20th, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a party. Join us for our inauguration celebration on January 20th at Saddle Up Q in Aurora. Enjoy a brunch buffet with AM 560 listeners as we watch the inauguration of President Trump. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/Trump47. That's 560theanswer.com/Trump47.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
This holiday season, give a gift twice. That's right. With That's Caring as your gift-giving assistant, you'll give someone special a grand holiday gift box, and funds will be given to partnered food banks throughout the country for children who participate in a weekend bag program. Go to that'scaring.com. Choose from delicious gifts like cranberry raisin delight, holly doodle cookie, cinnamon spiced pecans, chocolate mint cookies, and much more. There's a festive gift box to delight anyone on your list. And by ordering a festive gift box, you'll be spreading holiday cheer to those who need it most. For over 10 years, That's Caring has provided over 260,000 meals. Now that's caring. Won't you join them in giving back this holiday season? Go to that'scaring.com, give tremendous happiness, and fight tremendous hunger. Visit that'scaring.com today. That'scaring.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Balance of nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take balance of nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what balance of nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the balance of nature.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Sean Thompson here to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign. We've partnered with Food for the Poor once again to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're talking about a part of the world that continues to suffer from the effects of economic destruction and decline, political corruption, instability, gangs, high prices for food. Families are forced to skip meals for days at a time because they simply can't afford to buy food. The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners. Food for the Poor needs your help. Right now, thanks to a generous match, for a one-time gift of $100, you can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year. And it helps their community to gain access to water, or consider a gift of giving $200, which would provide life-saving food for 4 children for the entire year. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673 or go to 560theanswer.com. Just simply click on the Give Life banner at the top of the website.
8:39, let's get an update on the roads. A service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today. Kennedy is at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. A lot of that due to a disabled vehicle blocking a left lane as you travel on the outbound side between the Burn Circle and Washington, and it's impacting inbound commuters as well. Lots of gapers this morning. Ike on the inbound side, not doing too bad. Right now, it is 63 minutes, 390 to the old post office, while the Stevenson is at 50 minutes from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Frigid, sun and clouds, high 18. Partly cloudy and frigid, a low of 9 above overnight. Currently 5 and clouds with a wind chill of -12. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
All right, the fight for women's sports is not over. I don't know, John, if you heard what happened in California, but there's a
lot that's happening.
Hey,
it's California.
Can you hit that mute button on your?
Oh, I did.
We're FaceTiming each other.
Oh, I thought I did. Sorry.
Well, that's how we roll.
Yeah.
So 150 students in one California high school were kept out of class, and can you guess why?
Let me see. It probably has something to do with transgendered men playing in some women's sports. Is that close?
Well, they were wearing something.
So
150 students were wearing something because there was a biological man on the cross country team that took a spot away from a senior who had been playing, been on cross country for 4 years. And so they all wore a T-shirt. Is this offensive to you? Are you ready for this?
I'm
T-shirt.
ready. I'm ready.
Save girls sports.
Okay, I'm still waiting. Wait, where's you gonna give me what's offensive? I'm waiting. Hold on.
Save girls sports is what 150 students were to this California high school. And by the way, guess what the high school's? It's called Martin Luther King Jr. High School.
I need one of those shirts now.
Well, they hired an attorney and they're suing, and here is said attorney.
The school does allow other messages. There's other social, political, religious messages worn on shirts by other students. And then there's also signs hanging around campus. There's gay pride flags hanging in the classroom. And so there are other messages that are allowed that haven't been censored. And I know.
And so 11th grader Taylor Starling, who got kicked off the team for a man, talked to the AD about the T-shirts.
I asked our athletic director about, because the student on our team wears bracelets that say trans pride. And I asked him, why is he allowed to wear that, and why can't we wear ours and express our opinion when he is expressing his opinion? Why can't we wear our shirts? So then she just brought up the example of the swastika again. She wouldn't really answer any of my questions. She just kept on bringing up that example.
Yeah, and this is what happened when all of them decided to, form a solidarity to make a statement when Starling wore the shirt to practice.
When we wore them to practice, we actually did get a lot of compliments for wearing our shirts from other athletes on the team. And when we did wear them, our athletic director called us over. And then, as Julianne said, we had to remove our shirts. And then we had to put on a different shirt because we weren't allowed to wear this shirt at practice.
And they kept comparing what was happening to somebody wearing a swastika on a T-shirt, which these clearly are completely different events.
The athletic director told the girls that it would be the messages on their shirts would be the same thing as wearing a swastika in front of a Jewish student.
Personally, it hurt me like really bad because I am not like a hateful person. Like God calls us to love everyone and be kind to everyone. So like just hearing that made me feel like really bad, like I was being like hateful towards that person when I wasn't. I was just standing up for women's sports and helping them get equality in their sports.
With more on this, let's welcome back to the program Jennifer Say. She's former president of the Levi's brand until she publicly opposed the closure of San Francisco schools at the height of the pandemic. Also a retired member of the USA Women's National Gymnastics team, producer of the Emmy-winning film Athlete A, and author of Levi's Unbuttoned, The Woke Mob Took My Job But Gave Me My Voice. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, and also you are in charge, the CEO of the XXXY clothing line.
That is correct. I launched the brand about 8 months ago, specifically for situations like the one you're discussing. I want to normalize standing up for women and girls. It's compassionate to do so. It isn't hateful. But somehow our empathy has been weaponized against us, and we're made to feel that if we stand up for ourselves, that is somehow an expression of hate, and it's not. And so I just want these girls and young women who do stand up for themselves to know that when they do, they won't stand alone.
So let's talk about this case in particular. 150 of the students wore the Save Girls Sports T-shirt, and they were not allowed into school. And the person that's Taylor Starling, she's been going to practices, and she claims that the biological male that took her spot doesn't even attend practices on a regular basis. Is that true?
I mean, that's my understanding as well. That this person, a male, there's been, made space for him on the team, someone who doesn't abide the rules of the team, someone who doesn't show up for practice, do the training, and that replaces a girl who has worked hard her whole life to be on the team. He's replacing her. And as we now know, the UN has issued a report saying there's 900 instances of males taking team berths, awards, trophies, sponsorship dollars away from deserving young women. So for everybody who says this isn't happening, here it is again. It's happening. It's right here.
Well, what can Trump do day one in office to help preserve women in women's sports?
That's a great question, because I think there's a ton he can do, but there's a lot he can't. Not because of his personal limitations, but because of the way the sports governing bodies, our government is structured, which is okay. So what he can do is rescind the rewrite of Title IX, which was issued by the Biden administration under executive order, essentially smuggled in changes to the meaning of Title IX back in April of this year, and replaced women's sex-based rights with gender identity. So he can rescind that. He can go back to the original Title IX. He can enshrine within Title IX that women and girls sports are for XX only. He can certainly do that. But that impacts sports and spaces in the education system, any educational program that is federally funded. But the Olympic movement, for instance, is outside the reach. The Olympic movement, the USOPC, is funded almost entirely by private companies, as is the International Olympic Committee. That is who those organizations are, taking their influence from. And so the office of the president really cannot alter the rules within the Olympic movement. The private clubs that fuel the Olympic movement, often the best athletes, they aren't even competing in the school or the educational system. They're competing in private clubs to qualify to compete for a spot, for instance, on the Olympic team, or even, levels below that. So I believe what changes this, and this is a very fractured system. You have the USOPC, you have the IOC, you have all the individual sport governing bodies. They all are able to make the rules themselves how they want to. There's not sort of one magic wand that can be waved to fix all of it. But here's what will change it: public opinion. Policy is downstream. from culture. And we women have been made, our empathy, as I said, has been weaponized against us, and we've been silent on the issue for too long because we're afraid of being called bad names. And it stinks. You know, I'll admit, as somebody who is called all the names, it's not fun. And these girls and young women are told that they will be kicked off the team, they'll lose their scholarship, they'll never get a job. You know, they're threatened. These are young girls and young women, but the fact is the majority of Americans agree with us. 80+% of Americans agree with us. So if we all stand up together and say no more, women's sports are for XX only, I think we can't lose. And I think at that point, these individual governing bodies will have to do the right thing. But let me be clear. The governing bodies never do the right thing unless their hand is forced. Right. I have long-standing experience with this in terms of the abuse in gymnastics. USA Gymnastics not only ignored the abuse, but covered it up for 30 years in the sport. They did not do the right thing until the gymnasts themselves stood up and said, we will not take it anymore. And so what these young girls are doing is so important. They're leaders. And really what they're doing, that's what sports is all about, to build character, leadership, discipline, perseverance. This is what we want sports to do for our young people. Who cares if they can kick a ball hard or do a flip on the beam? Sports are about building character and you know, discipline and perseverance. And so I think what these young girls have done is heroic. It's very difficult, and we need more of them.
You know, Jennifer, I've been following you ever since Amy and we interviewed you during COVID, and I've been following you since then, and we were discussing COVID, not so much this issue. So I don't know if you heard the saying, let me give you your flowers. I've seen the onslaught of attacks that you've gotten since you've come out publicly against this issue. And I just want to say thank you. As a father of 5 girls, I appreciate everything that you're doing because you have a lot of people that are in support of you, but this is why I hate Twitter. Those meanies on Twitter, boy, they come out and they come for your juggler. So I want to thank you and please continue. I'm going to order something from your website for my girls and so my girls can have that. So I really appreciate you. But here's a question.
Yeah.
Where are the feminists? They fought so hard for women's rights. Where are they today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for the kind words. I do want to say, for the people who are willing to put themselves out there, a kind word means so much because, as you mentioned, the onslaught is fairly brutal. I mean, the violence directed at us, the threats directed at us. And so getting encouragement through private messages publicly like you've just done, it really does help keep us going and let us know we're not alone. Here's what I'll say. There is a group of feminists, many would call them TERFs, who have been very loud about this for a very long time. So I don't want to throw all the feminists in the same bucket here because there is a large group and a very vocal group who very early on, some of them I'm proud to consider friends, have seen the harms of this and the ridiculousness, and they have been very loud. And it's interesting because on this issue, because it is about truth, we are really standing up for basic truth and basic biology. It shouldn't be political. And, I was on this thing this summer sponsored by IWF, this Take Back Title IX bus tour. It was so politically diverse, ideologically diverse. We had women of the left, we had women of the right, we had women like me who kind of don't fit in anywhere, who just are willing to stand up for women and girls. That said, there are a lot of women who would consider themselves, I don't know if they'd call themselves feminist, but they would certainly call themselves sort of pro-woman that are on the wrong side of this. And I encounter some of them in my local community every day. And they've just bought this line of, I'm not going to curse, this line of bull.
Please don't.
That trans women are women. And therefore, it is the feminist and pro-woman thing to do to allow males in women's sports. And it's a lie. And they're just buying this, marketing tagline that's ridiculous. And it's just unfortunate. I had an interaction with a mom at my daughter's soccer game who asked that we not wear the T-shirt from my brand because it was harmful to girls.
Oh, gosh.
And it was difficult, even for me, someone who's really loud and outspoken about this, to in person with a real human to stand my ground and to be calm, but forceful, but I forced myself to do it. And, but her view was she was the one being kind and compassionate towards girls and women, and I was the one being harmful. And I told her I reject that. It is not harmful to stand up for biological girls. She said, I'm the one standing up for all girls. I said, no, you're not. You're standing up for the girls who are boys.
Yeah. So, but Jennifer, as it relates to, I believe you'll start seeing where the country is headed with when the Supreme Court rules on its, I think it's United States versus Scrimetti or something like that.
Yeah.
The transgender affirming care for children.
Yeah.
I think that will show you where we're headed. What do you think will be the outcome of that case?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think, I'm not a legal person, but I think it will be upheld, and that'll set a standard for the rest of the country. And what I mean will be upheld is the banning of medicalization of confused young people, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, that kind of thing. I think it will be upheld. I think common sense will prevail. Yeah. You see this happening around the world. Just this week, the UK banned puberty blockers for anyone under 18. We're behind on this. We are just sorely lagging. Northern European countries are banning this stuff right and left because they're following the evidence, and we are letting our system be influenced and determined by activists rather than evidence and, frankly, just common sense. I mean, I don't need evidence to know that it is cruel and disgusting to sterilize a child. I mean, I don't need a study to tell me that. I just need common sense. So I think that case will be upheld, but I still think we have a long way to go. Yeah. The states who've embraced it are going to continue to embrace it. The Title IX that was rewritten earlier this year has already been embraced and put into action by, I think, 24 states. They're not going to let go. They are going to double down. And we've seen that in the media, that many on the far left are doubling down on this. So I think the fight continues. I think we shouldn't get complacent. I think we have a long way to go.
All right, Jennifer Say, we're going to have to leave it there. Former president of Levi's brand. And how can we get your XXXY clothing line?
Go to thetruthfits.com or xx-xyathletics.com. We've got tons of great holiday gifts. It really does mean a lot. You show up and you wear this T-shirt at the game. It always provokes a conversation. 9 times out of 10, somebody will lean in and say, I agree with you. And so it gives permission to stand up for women and girls, which is exactly what I'm hoping for.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is December 15th, so call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. John, who's going to be on your show this Saturday?
I'm not going to be in. Jimmy Conamos is filling in for me this Saturday. I'm not back to the 21st.
Oh, that's right. You normally take your break.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for filling in the last 2 days. Dan will be back here tomorrow morning. And if I don't see you, have a wonderful Christmas.
You as well.
And New Year's. And I love you to death.
Love you too, Amy. Take care.
And thanks also to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The very latest from Fox News on the Time Man of the Year. Visitation is held for an Oak Park police detective killed in the line of duty. A Woodstock man is charged with stabbing another man. The Blackhawks visit the Islanders, and the White Sox deal Garrett Crochet. WIND Chicago News Time at 9.
Before we return to the White